After 5 rounds, Roma is sitting equal with Milan and Napoli at the top of the Serie A table. That's pretty good. I don't think anybody expected that. Roma, though, lucky to come away without a draw here today at home against a Verona side who played honestly really good. They were strong. They were fast. They were physical. They tried to play Roma's game, but they didn't have the quality. And Roma's very lucky. Everybody's really lucky tonight that Verona's forwards do not go to shooting practice. Not a good game by them. Geez. Yeah, I thought when you look at that XG, we're going to get to that, what Gasperini thinks about it. We're going to look at some other things. But 1 goal allowed in 5 Serie A matches, and that was a long-range effort. If Roma are at this point, who are we thanking, guys? It's not the offense, aside from Sule. But it is definitely Mancini and Indica and Svilar, right? He makes a save with his face in like 16th minute today. Roma score in the 7th. I'll break that down. Maybe we should definitely, I think, do that first, right? So I'm going to work through this here, just watching this timeline, this highlights as we go along. Okay, Wesley gets the ball, makes an underlapping run, and then pulls the defender away. But the thing about when he makes that run is it's like the slightest movement. He's such a distraction, but because he pulls the focus away from Dovbyk, and cheers Dovbyk for getting his first goal of the season, it forces everybody else to almost anticipate and take like the smallest little step forward. Instead, what happens is Selic plays an incredible ball that Dovbyk heads. Really, though, that was, I mean, for me to be thinking like, oh, Selic has been playing great, and he has, I didn't expect that coming into the season. So 7 minutes in, right, and Dovbyk, he's pumped, and he might be showing that he should be a starter based on this game, okay? Because when Ferguson came in later, he didn't look as sharp. He wasn't holding the ball up as well. And in certain games, you really need your striker to hold it up. But with that being said, I do like the competition between them. I still think Ferguson's a much better player. And that is the 15th minute that Svilar makes that save. And Verona were really pressing, even 28th minute. Again, that shot hits the top of the crossbar. I can't believe that didn't go in. That's where Verona's 1.5, depending on who you're looking at, to 2 XG comes from. That should have been. I have no idea how he misses that. All right, starting off the second half, there's another chance for Verona. It just goes right over the bar, and that's from Giovane. That should have been buried too. Like, you're a right winger and you're shooting on your left foot, your preferred foot, and you miss from that angle. Not good. All right, 79th minute, Roma close it off. They make Verona pay for their mistakes, and Sule comes away with a cramp. Doesn't celebrate too much, but that is an assist from Kone, and that's all she wrote going forward there. Some comments from Roma fans. Sule is our future. Continue like this. Dai Roma, the beginning of Dovbyk. Sule is better than Mastro Antonio. Future is bright with Scaloni for the national team. Like how Dovbyk makes a difference. And this is just through the Serie A recap that I'm looking at that. El Shaarawy still has speed. So good stuff, a lot of positivity. Let's go over. I know some people are like a little down that Roma's not scoring a ton, that there have been games where maybe it could have gone another way. But I want to focus right now on this comment by famous Roma writer Angelo Mangiante. And I'm going to zoom in on one thing particular. So he's like praising Gasperini for getting Pellegrini, who got the start today, for getting him back and making him feel confident again. He praises Dovbyk, or really Gasperini, for waking him from his slumber. He writes, 5th win in 6 official matches. We all know that. We're keeping that number close to us. But this is really it. He says, after the win in Nice, Roma had returned to the capital on a charter flight landing at 3 a.m. Gasperini had asked all the players to stay overnight at Trigoria for a very specific reason. He wanted everyone on the pitch in the morning. The previous evening's victory was already filed away, like it was already done with. At 10 a.m., the coach's shouts and instructions on the field could be heard, even beyond the great gates of the technical center. These are Gasperini's training methods, the foundation of his successes, even in Europe. Discipline, work ethic, a mentality forged on the field at a high tempo. Everything comes at a cost. If you want to play for him, you adapt or you go find another team. The results are a logical consequence. Gasperini's impact in Europe is increasingly convincing, now awaiting Lille on Thursday. Defensive solidarity remains the cornerstone. Only 2 goals conceded in 6 matches, one of which was a penalty. Svilar remains the best goalkeeper in Serie A, and even against an excellent Verona, 2 to 3 saves were extraordinary. The keys to the defense are entrusted to that reliable duo of Mancini and Ndika, with two pillars always fielded by Gasperini. Capable of compensating in Europe for even the lack of goals from the forwards, replaced by 2 goals from the central defenders, awaiting the signal of Dovbyk's revival, which, after much delay, has arrived. And also making note, like Dybala, El Shaarawy, Baldanzi, Ferguson, 0 goals. Okay. He finishes, the coach has set his sights on the horizon. He steps out of his comfort zone and changes the tactical setup. No rigid adherence to one system. He experiments with the recovery of Pellegrini and Dovbyk, now trying to shake up the others who are lagging behind. Pragmatic. Then after the break, Dybala and Bailey will return. Both will be useful in the direct clashes with Inter, with the sliding door in Gasperini's Everest climb. His distinctive mark has already shaped the new course, filled with ball recovery through high pressing, more speed, and verticality in the build-up, more crosses from the flanks by the wingers, and more meritocracy in selections. The state of the art is clear. Only those who are in top form and run the most in training play. Everything else is earned solely through work on the pitch. The winning mentality stems from this. I thought that was beautifully written, honestly. Like, that's great. Didn't really know of Angelo to be such a poet with his words. I couldn't have written this. Like, to think of all those variables from the defense being so solid, as well as the goal scoring or lack of goal scoring by the attackers, and then that mentality and what he does, Gasperini, to get these kids, get the guys to buy in. And if you run more and you're more professional and you're more athletic, like, you're going to play, you bust your butt, you're going on pitch. That has to how it has to be, right? And this is like such a useful lesson for young players too. And I think like that, maybe because I'm a teacher, but I just think how you get going and how you find success is through hard work. People could say Roma have been lucky. Perhaps, but Roma are also forcing luck. Think about how thin that this team has been run. There's still no true left wing. I feel like Roma is one really good player. They're one Federico Chiesa away from being a great team. Right now, I feel like they could win the Europa League. Aston Villa is still out there. Aston Villa whooped Roma in preseason. But with time, we could see what happens. I think January would be very important. I think Bailey, if he can muster some energy and some physicality, he can get back to, or I should say some fitness, right? So a couple X factors that could be in January, but I think they got to get a new player, somebody that they can really count on at left wing. Anyway, to go over today, though, Svilar, Celik, Mancini, Ndika, Wesley, Kone, Cristante, Angelino, Pellegrini attacking mid, Sule on the right, Dovbyk on the left. And yeah, it pretty much worked. But back to Gasperini, because there's like not too much to break down here other than the XG was high for Verona, and Roma suffered. Svilar gets Fatmob's man of the match with an 8.4 rating. That's really high. I don't think that since I've looked at Fatmob, I've seen anything relatively like that. What else? Ziolkowski gets his first start as a Roma player, or his first time on the pitch as somebody for Roma. Any other statistics here I want to tell you before we go on to the next section? Verona were good in the sense that they did pull points away from Juventus. Their other results haven't been like anything noteworthy. They got thumped by Lazio, and Roma now have 5 goals in their last 5 matches, and they've got the most clean sheets in Serie A. So Svilar does, I should say. All right, on to Gasperini's comments. He says, I was well aware of the difficulties that the players were having. He's speaking to DAZN. It was the first time this season we had 3 games in a week and not everyone recovered fully. We didn't expect that, so we need to reflect and evaluate on going forward. We had problems today that we hadn't in other games. It was obvious that some players were struggling with sharpness. When Verona pushed forward, they were able to pass it around with greater ease than usual. It's a pity. We were also not incisive enough on the transition, and we struggled more than we should have. There were positives for Roma, though. For the 6th time in their history, they have kept 4 clean sheets in their first 5 matches of the Serie A season. That's not him saying. That's the article where this is from. So those positives, right? I do think there's way more positives than negatives right now. And I don't think you got to be an astronomist to have figured that out, right? The things we need to work on, like I said, left wing. I think that there could be a little bit more creativity from the Cristante role. Has he done enough? Oh, yeah. I mean, he's shoring up the defensive midfield. I just think that they could play a little bit more creative at times. And the overloads, there's still something to be developed, right? Only 6 matches in. How could you get every tactic of a manager. So those overloads, and I see them working with, they have diamonds, which sometimes become squares, right? Depending on the shape. But it's just not exactly what we saw at peak Atalanta. And how could it be, right? Sensibly speaking. Okay. To finish up there, he says if Roma has had such a good defensive record, a lot of that is down to Svilar. He doesn't just make exceptional save, he's also a guarantee when starting play from the back. Undoubtedly, we have a great goalkeeper. Awesome. Good. So marching on, Lille back to Europe, right? Back to France. I think that's a away game, right? Is it Lille Strom? No, that's not what I was looking for. Roma Lille will be at home. Okay. The expectation is a win always at home. And if they do get that, it would be a very good indication for going forward in Europa League and how they end up getting seeded. So I think they can. I'm feeling like honestly charged up, like an optimism, which I haven't felt in a while. And I think that's because there is a backbone. It's not one-off performances by Dybala that gets Roma over the hump. But in fact, what it is, it's a great structure. It's a great foundation. And the easy part is building off of that. The hard part is where you get like Manchester United situation. They get a couple good games, but the majority they're getting beaten. They're like, oh, that was a good play. He did good, and the striker did right, you know. But when you have that stability, then you can really move forward, and that's how you build a team. Ending on that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Bye, guys.